let's talk all about getting out of the spiritual closet as an entrepreneur, the woo-woo closet, as they say. I love that word, by the way. That's one of my favorite words. But I want to talk about this because honestly, I've never really heard anyone else talk about this. Maybe you have, but I've never come across anyone that's really talked about what it means as an entrepreneur. I think a lot of times we see it as just people in their normal everyday life feeling like they want to come out of the spiritual closet. But when it comes to business and starting more of a personal brand and being in the online space as a spiritual entrepreneur, I feel like there are a lot of similarities, but there are some differences as well. So we're going to talk about that today. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Nadia. I'm a spiritual coach. I'm an intuitive business mentor and writer living on Maui, and I want to share with you just some takeaways, some things that I've learned from just coming out of the spiritual closet as an entrepreneur and really kind of shifting my business from being more, I would say, business and mindset coaching related, which that is still part of what I do, but to becoming more of a spiritual coach, which is something that I really was feeling called towards from really 2017, 2018, but I didn't necessarily realize that that's what was happening until really positioning myself as a spiritual coach, I would say kind of 2021 going into 2022. So if this is you as well, if you're feeling called towards spiritual entrepreneurship or feeling like you want to pivot your business or pivot what you're doing, but you're feeling a little bit restricted or kind of stuck and not sure how to do that, I hope that this helps you. And so I think one of the biggest things is when we go through our spiritual awakening process, first of all, a lot of us don't really realize that that's what's happening at first. At least that was really the case for me. I didn't realize that I was going through an awakening at first. Now looking back, I can see that. But then on top of that, to feel called towards kind of a greater mission or a greater purpose, or to do something that's so different from the work and the business that maybe we were doing prior, I do believe that it's by design that we experience that alone without anyone else. And I mean alone as far as our peers. Maybe we have other friends that are entrepreneurs as well, our family. No one around us is really understanding what this means because no one else is going through this. And I think that that is on purpose, because we are meant to kind of tap into this purpose, this mission, to really in a way inspire and guide the people around us. And I know that that can feel like a big weight, that can feel kind of overwhelming, can feel very uncertain. And so I hope that this video helps you. So I think the first thing that we need to really focus on is that, and this is a little bit easier said than done, but we really need to release that pressure that we have to have it all figured out right away. Like I said, for me, it was very much a transition. I really was leading my business as more of a business and mindset coach. I came from a world where I was working in tech and I was building websites. My educational background's in web design and graphic design and marketing. And that's still something that's infused into my work, but it was very much so the focus. And I didn't really have any kind of, I would say, connection to some of the things that I'm talking about now. It was very much kind of this cut and dry business focus when I first started my business. And so I think a lot of us who are then feeling that call to transition feel like we have to do it like right away. Like the moment we realize that we got to shift right that second. And that could be how it works for you. But I've noticed for a lot of the people that I work with, and just for myself as well, that it's just been a lot more, I would say, easier on the process to let it just evolve and flow. And I know in the world of picking your niche and being very focused and knowing exactly what it is that you want to do, you know, from day one, and presenting yourself to the world in that way, that feels kind of counterintuitive. But when you put so much pressure on having to figure it out all in 1 second or really quickly, it really kind of inhibits your personal process of developing as a spiritual entrepreneur, because there's so many layers to it and there's so many things that you're going to uncover as you start to kind of tap into this new area of focus. And so I would encourage you, if you're going through this right now, if you're feeling like you're being called to be more of a spiritual coach, a spiritual entrepreneur, you want to offer spiritual services within your business, but it feels like such this dramatic shift from what you're doing now, I want you to know that you can evolve it and shift it over time. And so just using myself as an example, from going from kind of business and mindset coaching to doing more spiritual coaching, it really came about because I felt really called in 2020 to become certified as a numerologist. And numerology was something that I had been using for myself to help me gain clarity on just the different things that I wanted to do within my life and within my business back in, I think I discovered it was 2017 going to 2018, and I used it for myself for about 2 years before I really felt like I want to use this to help other people. And so when I first shared that I was a numerologist, I was pretty kind of taken aback at the response that I got, because I wasn't really sure what to expect, and it was something, like I said, I had been using for about 2 years before I really started to share it. And when I say people came out of the woodwork that wanted numerology readings, it was unbelievable. People that I didn't even realize were really paying attention, that were really following me. It was like friends of friends and old coworkers and people that knew my husband all wanted numerology readings, and that's how I really knew that I was on the right path, the right course for my business. And so that's what really helped me starting to shift it, was just releasing the fact that I had to know everything all in one time, but just kind of gradually transitioning. And so I started reading numerology charts in 2020, and it was really insightful, really helpful for the people that I was doing readings for. And something that I started to notice was that I started to attract more and more people who wanted to gain more clarity in this way, and they were maybe feeling called to start a business, which is what I was focusing on prior as a business and mindset coach, like I said, but they also wanted to know a little bit more about deepening their soul connection and really deepening their connection to their purpose, which is something that I wasn't really, I don't really feel like before that was attracting into my business. And so it really just naturally transitioned. And then I started to use numerology to create programs and offers, and using numerology as the foundation. And so I would really invite you to look at what is it that you're doing right now within your business and in your work, and is there something that you can start to do that you've already been doing as a spiritual practice that you maybe want to infuse into your work, and just kind of, instead of shutting down what you're doing now and then all of a sudden pivoting to this whole new thing, but just sort of like ease it into what you're already doing, because it might seem like it's so dramatically different, but I can tell you that it really started to kind of mesh together in a way. And as I started reading more and more numerology charts and really started going down this path, and I wasn't even calling myself a spiritual coach or anything, I was still presenting myself as a business coach, just using this within my work, it just started to unfold naturally, and it really just started to evolve, and I started to see how I could help people more and more down this path. And something that I think comes up a lot, and I want to do a whole nother video about this, is when we're going through this process of transitioning from being more of an entrepreneur, traditional business, to infusing more spiritual and personal growth and things of that nature into our business, a lot of times we can feel really stuck, and we can feel like we don't know. And every time I watch videos about, you know, what to do if you're unstuck or how to become unstuck, one of the main themes that comes up is the fact that if you're stuck, it's because you're choosing to be stuck. And I really, now that I've gone through the whole process of feeling very stuck and unsure and unclear to now feeling very clear, I realized that it was just part of my transitioning into a spiritual entrepreneur process. It was part of my awakening process. And I do feel like there's a lot of you out there who are watching this as well, who maybe feel stuck right now, or feeling like kind of in between both worlds and not really sure what to do. You can feel kind of stuck. And I think that that is just part of the process. It's not, you're not choosing to be stuck. It's just is part of it, because it feels so unclear and uncertain what this whole new business and world and work that you're being pulled into is going to look like, because you're not going to know until you actually get there. And so if that's you right now, if you're feeling unstuck, if you're feeling uncertain, just know that you can start to do little things to add into your business. You don't have to like burn it all down, and rebuild from nothing. You can really pivot and evolve what you're already doing. And I know that's kind of, I feel like that's the polar opposite of what's kind of talked about, especially in the online business space. It's like, you can't, if you've been going down this one path or this one niche, you have to stick with that and you can't shift, and it's not the way it's supposed to be. And I just feel like if you are more of a spiritual entrepreneur, it has to be like that. That's just part of the process of going through really connecting to this gift that you have to share, and your process and the things you've experienced to get to where you're going. It's going to help the people that you're working with. And that's what I found for me with the people that I work with. They are me a couple steps behind, and they're looking at me and they're saying, okay, well, you were able to pivot and you were able to shift, which means I can also do this too, instead of feeling like you have to kind of start all over from scratch, or you can't show the messy middle. As creation leads to clarity, because I really do believe that, but a lot of times we feel like we can't do that because of how it's going to appear. And so I know it's challenging because, like I said in the beginning, when you're going towards this path of shifting into being more of a spiritual entrepreneur, no one around you seems like they're going through what you're going through, but you'll start to notice as you move down this path that the people around you that you maybe didn't think get it start to understand. And I've noticed that in my life with my friends and family, and even other entrepreneurs that I know, that they start to awaken, they start to understand more what I'm talking about with, with connecting to your higher self, to connecting to a higher purpose, a higher mission, where maybe a couple years ago it sounded like I was speaking maybe a different language. Now they start to understand because I was kind of the person to help connect these things to them. And so you're probably that person within the network and the group that you have, and not to put more pressure on you or to feel like you have this weight, but I really do feel like that's on purpose, that you are being connected and pulled down this path. So I would love to hear from you what you think about this. Is this something that you're currently going through? Are you feeling called towards spiritual entrepreneurship? Are you feeling called towards this higher purpose, and maybe it feels very unclear right now? You're feeling very kind of overwhelmed, or you're feeling a little bit stuck. I know exactly how that feels because that's what I went through, and I would love to support you and help you in that. I have a couple different ways that I can work with you. I do have a Decoding Your Birthday workshop, which is a numerology workshop. Most of my work and the offerings that I do, that's the foundation, because that helped me so much when I understood my own, I call it your soul blueprint. That's really what your numerology chart is. It gave me so much insight into my soul calling, my purpose, my path, and all of these things that I knew that that's what it was, but I didn't really know because I was very disconnected from it, if that makes sense. And so that's a really beautiful place to start if you're kind of new to this whole process and you're not really sure and you feel unclear. And then if you want to go a little bit deeper, I have Soul Purpose Archetype, which is my spiritual life coaching work, and that's a 6-week container where we can work together. And then I also have Soul Startup Archetype, which is for those of you who are spiritual entrepreneurs who are feeling called to start your business or pivot the business that you have. And so that's a little bit of a longer program. I'll have everything linked below so you can check it out. And like I said, I'd love to support you in this, so comment down below, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and let me know any takeaways, anything that's coming up for you. Are you feeling like right now you feel really overwhelmed and you need to sort of pivot right now into this whole new area? Are you feeling like you don't even know if you want to go down this path because it just feels a little bit too much for you? Yeah, just the different things that are coming up for you. I know it's so different for all of us. It's very unique for all of us. But like I said, I don't feel like anyone's really talking about this from an entrepreneurial standpoint, because I'm seeing more and more people that are feeling called to shift from doing more of this traditional business and mindset coaching to more spiritual coaching, or infusing the two, which is really what I've done. I've really infused the two. Even though I'm leading more with spiritual coaching, I do offer intuitive business mentorship as well, and you can infuse it all. And it is, like I said, it is something that you need to move through, and it's really helpful to have support. So I had support when I went through this whole process, and I would love to support you. So let me know any takeaways you had, and I will chat with you in my next video. Bye.